Hello and welcome to League of Lessons. I am Dillybear, and I'm going to be going over the few different things I kind of highlighted at the beginning of the article. Those are certain things that, overall to me, are very important and relate. They're very heavily integrated with the different roles that I talk about, the way you play that role. But giving examples was a bit difficult, especially typing, and it just didn't translate well to text. So I wanted to take and make this video helping integrate this with that understanding, kind of help teaching you better ways to make good decisions. So the first thing that I listed, one of the definitely most important things, is talking about the communicating your role to your team. So whenever you're picking a role, be it whether you're going top, mid, bottom, or jungle, whenever you're picking a champion and you're picking a role, you want to communicate that to your team. You want to tell people, I'm playing this champion, I'm playing this lane, I'm playing this role. Kind of like Team Builder, how that's set up. It's actually that's an extremely effective method of communication. So I definitely want to point that out and let you know it's always important whenever you're picking your role or changing your role, maybe even throughout the course of a game, that you tell your team. That's all that's going to do is increase your chance of success. You're letting them make better decisions because you're giving them the information they need to make those good decisions. And if they just don't know that you're changing your role or that you're picking a certain role for a certain champion, that's going to change how they look at things. If you're playing Rengar top lane, they need to know if you're going to be fighter Rengar, whether you're going to be tanky Rengar or assassin Rengar, how exactly it's going to work. Because how you play, how you're building, reflects on the way they'll play and the way they'll build. And unfortunately, no one has the time to look at your item build every 5 minutes. No one has the chance to do that. It's your job, it's your responsibility to communicate that with your team. And all that's going to happen, I guarantee you, all that's going to happen is increasing your chance of success. There's never going to be a downside to communicating that with your team. Okay, so the next thing that I really want to talk about is the perception of power. Kind of just talking about when you see someone that you perceive as powerful, it's generally what? It's almost always their kills. You see someone maybe who has 5 kills, 5-0. You think that's powerful, they're strong. But most people, unless they're laning against them, ignore everything else. They ignore CS, they ignore tower money advantage, they ignore objective gold, they ignore assists. Most people just don't consider that. They don't think about that giving you gold and giving you power. And heck, most people don't look at the items. Sometimes the items they build reflect their power. So it's really important to always be aware not only of how much power you have and how much power your lane opponent has, but also just in the course of the game, identifying where the power is and where people perceive the power to be. Because that can make you make better plays and better decisions, but more so than that, it's great at forcing your opponent to make poor decisions. It's good at making sure that they don't make good decisions because they are only looking at the kills. They're the ones who aren't using that information, and by using that information and maximizing your potential, you greatly increase your chance of success. So the third thing that I want to talk about is definitely an important idea when understanding your role, when building your champion, and there's a lot of evidence to support this, and that is that you do not buy items that synergize well with your champion. And most people, they hear that and they automatically think that I don't know what I'm talking about, that that's a crazy notion. But what I mean by that is, I think it's a lot more important to buy items that synergize well with your role, not items that synergize well with your champion. Now, usually popular champions, anyone with a high pick rate, most well-designed champions will have that meetup where whatever their primary role is and whatever their champion kit is, there'll be items that synergize well with both of them. And that's awesome. That's powerful. Synergy is awesome. It's great to feel that kind of satisfaction with synergy. But in the pursuit of that power, that satisfaction, it's easy to make bad decisions. And a great example that kind of, at least most people tend to understand when they hear it, is Lee Sin. Lee Sin actually synergizes really well with Trinity Force. And you never really see that. And you kind of think, most people don't think it synergizes or just wonder why, since it synergizes, why they don't see it. And the reason why is because even though every aspect of that item, besides the mana, which is usually just the throwaway stat anyway, even though every single other aspect of that item perfectly synergizes with Lee Sin, that doesn't mean it goes well with his job. Because Lee Sin generally is going to either be an assassin, or he's going to be like a tanky fighter. And it's an awful assassin item. For how much you pay for the stats you get, that is just an awful garbage assassin item. And it's a very not so great tank item either. I mean, the only time it would ever be successful is if he were really going for more of a sustained damage fighter. But that's not, that's not always how you want to play the game. That's not always what your role is. And that's just why you never see it on Lee Sin, because people don't buy that. Good players don't buy items that synergize well with a champion just because it synergizes well with the champion. And there's a million different examples I can give, but that's definitely kind of one of the easier to identify ones. So, now the last thing that I really want to talk about, and it's hard. I mean, most people already know this, but it's hard. And I think the perspective that I'm trying to present this in matters. And that is, whenever anything goes wrong, whenever your lane is going poorly, you lost a fight, you lost an objective, something went wrong, anytime anything happens, it's important to think about how you can improve. And it's not just about what was wrong in the team fight, not just identifying the problem. It's important to look through that through the filter of your class. I'm an assassin and we lost that fight. How can I be a better assassin so that we can succeed? I'm the tank for that fight. How can I be a better tank to make sure that fight goes better? Okay, I'm the mage for that fight. How can I mage harder? Whatever. It doesn't matter. You always want to be looking at yourself first. You always want to be working on that, because yourself is the easiest thing that you can control. You have the most power to control yourself. So it's always good to try to fix what you can fix first. Then, let's say, there's a situation that you did great and you didn't do anything wrong, and you see that it's someone on your team. Now, you can either just yell at them, tell them to get good, or uninstall, or just whatever you want, but that's not going to be helpful. That's not going to help them play better. You may have to play with that person in the future. For the next 30 minutes, they're your best friend, and you have to make friends with them. So it's important to fix what you can by yourself, through your role, as done by your role, and then provide helpful, constructive advice to your teammates so that they can make better decisions. Help them out. Tell them that it's going to be okay. Tell them that what they have to provide is valuable, but that maybe there's a better way they can do that. Maybe you can do something to help them do their job better. You want to always look at that, see how you fit on the team and how you can make other people do their jobs better. And that's hard, because if it's not you, if it's not their fault, then it's your fault. That's how people feel. People feel like it's their fault, and they don't want to be the one at fault. So it's really hard to take blame, and it's even harder than that to actually do something productive with that blame. It's a lot of people will be like, oh, I messed up. I'm so bad at this game. I messed up. But it takes a great player to be like, okay, I messed up. How can I fix it? What am I going to do through the context of my role to succeed, instead of just saying I'll fail? Anyway, so these are just some 4 things that every different role, every different person can apply in every single game. But context by, examples is not necessarily something that you can just tell people how to play better. But it's all information that will help you succeed, and I think it's really important to list all these things. That's why I really wanted to include this in the article. So I really thank you for taking the time to listen. I really appreciate that, and I hope that you're able to take something away from this, and I hope you have good luck on the rifts.